Oh, great. Oh, good. Excellent. Excellent. There's Tracy. Hello, everyone. There's Gregory Long, Pamela. There's everyone on this Monday. It's actually a very sad day. I'm going to explain in a moment. It's John Waddington. Hi there, Ellen Marie. Hola. Folks, please thank you for the stars. Who will be the first one to send stars on this Monday? Getting rather warm outside. It feels so muggy. Well, folks, at 12:06, good afternoon on this Monday. We're on Facebook Live. We're on AM 1380. We are on 99.9 FM. Hello, everybody on YouTube as the YouTube crowd continues to build. It is Monday. We have made it to August. My goodness. And there is no shortage of the news, folks. And especially, it's both local. It is both, well, local, national, international ramifications, excuse me. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. You can always listen online at our website, depetro.com. This portion of the program, Welcome to August, is brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. And listen, they have farm fresh vegetables ready to go, in stock. Sweet corn, zucchini, eggplant, yellow squash, tomatoes, cucumbers. Local honey is also available all season long. And they have these placenta green giant Aberrates. Let's see. I want to pronounce this correctly. We have placata in stock, hundreds to choose from 3 feet to 11 feet tall, fast growing, deer resistant, beautiful natural border. And I want to just, I have a picture of them actually, and I want to quickly show it to everybody that is tuning in. And I'll tell you, there's many times, I'm big on this. Let me see. There they are. They are. I would just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's placata green giants, already grown. Give you an idea of natural border and deer resistant. I want to just show the picture on everybody that's watching on our live stream. There you can see them. And what I love about that, by the way, is many times I'll see someone and you don't like to say anything. And I understand people that don't want to put up a fence. But there's various people that I know, or I should say properties that I go by, right? There's a place that I go and run late in the day. And this person has a beautiful piece of property. The only thing is, I feel a little odd as I'm going by and I can see right through the yard. How about, I see sometimes people have a pool. I don't know. Juan is just big on privacy. And I understand you don't want to erect a fence. But I think, if I had a pool kind of like on a street that people are going by or something, I don't know. Don't you want like a little more privacy and maybe have some of these that are up around, and therefore it's a nice natural barrier. They have them at PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. So pop in and see them. Folks, they are a full-scale nursery. I went by yesterday and they were just jamming. And I'm not surprised. They are a full-scale nursery, and right now they're open 7 days a week. I popped by yesterday, but wait till you see the sweet corn they have, eggplant, zucchini, yellow squash, tomatoes, and cucumbers. Folks, pop in and see them. Look for them on Facebook. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Well, folks, at 12:10, we have a developing story that I'm going to talk about right now, but I want to encourage you to visit the website, depetro.com, depetro.com. And they, as I mentioned, we were just in overdrive over the weekend. It was very, very busy. But if you check it out, you have the drownings, the double drownings in West Greenwich. It's a terrible story. We were back out there again last night. We were at the triple shooting at Pawtucket Friday night. And then today is the 1-year anniversary on the murder, unsolved. I hate even saying that, but Maya D. Brophy Behrman. Maya was killed 1 year ago today. It was August 1st, 2021. And I'm going to touch on that in just a moment. But go to the website. Please visit the website, depetro.com, depetro.com, the official website of you-know-who, and depetro.com, which is, in fact, brought to you by the Centerdale Revival. Stop in and see Shane and Comfort Food and Cocktails, 2025 Smith Street in North Providence. It's the Centerdale Revival. Well, folks, listen, we are our own media outlet. And I'm very happy with the growth that we have had. First of all, we have the radio show. People talk to me, so what are you up to, or that type of thing. All right, so I now view things as, things are just platforms, right? Television is a platform. Radio is a platform. But now there's other platforms. I've kind of talked about this in the past. Years ago, the first platform was really just newspaper, right? That was like a form. That was the platform. And then radio came along. And then film came along. And then television, which changed everything as we know. But now, Twitter is a platform. And YouTube. Good afternoon to everybody on YouTube. YouTube is a platform. And Facebook is a tremendous platform. And TikTok and Instagram and so forth. But the Facebook live stream, the growth that we have made there, very, very happy with that. Thank you to everyone that supports it. It's just so different. It's very demanding. Friday night, we were live. And then we went out to it was terrible, tragic, double drowning with a third that ended up in the hospital and then ended up in Pawtucket. But you didn't have this ability to do that years ago where you could do the live stream, and very, very happy with the growth of it and people that support it. And so what I mean is, I sometimes have people, how come you're not covering this story? How come you're not covering that story? And by the way, there's always a reason for it. Some of it's annoying that people ask that. And then other times I'm not annoyed. I answer it. But I'm looking right now on the Channel 12 website, and they don't have one story that today is the 1-year anniversary that Maya was killed. And I think it's terrible. That is an unsolved murder. Listen, you can easily, I'm on the Channel 10 website. They have nothing on that. And what I mean by that is I don't like when there's someone right now that's really annoying to me. How come all right, Channel 6 has something. Year after the killing, no arrests have been made. All right, so ABC 6 has something. I like that. Monday marks 1 year, 24-year-old shot and killed in Providence. Standing on the sidewalk, Olney Street, talking to a friend, drive-by shooter. Providence Police Major David Lapetan updated. ABC said, we haven't put this case down, working hard. There's not much I can put out there. It's an active investigation. We're working hard. We haven't put it down. Investigators believe the shooter thought Behrman was someone else when they fired the gun. 1 year later, no arrests have been made. Last December, an anonymous donor posted a $100,000 reward for information about the shooting. And there's a link to that story. Well, that's nice. All right. At least we do have that. That is out there, obviously, from our show. I'm going to take Sam LaFrancis. I don't believe, I'm going to correct this. Investigators believe the shooter thought she would, that's not true. The person that was walking her to her car, they thought was someone else, a case of mistaken identity. So, all right. So at least, but hey, A for effort. At least Channel 6 is doing it. No, I received an annoying email from someone. How come you've done zero with the shut up? How come I've done zero with the case? There's different reasons for it. And the people that send that stuff, they're never a supporter of the show. Never a supporter of the show. Why have you done zero shut up? There's a reason for it, you idiot. Stop questioning me. Reasons why. Why you go do something? Why don't you go do a blanket protest? I hate people like that. They annoy. I know I should ignore them. One of the downsides of social media is the ability. The positive thing is that people can interact with you. A negative part of this is that people can interact with you. It is easier when you're just talking on the radio, and then if someone's yelling at the radio, you can't hear them. And unless they call in or email, you don't know anything. Social media is not like that. Every nitwit thought that pops into someone's mind, they feel the ability to share, just like this person. And I want to just, I could go on and on. Just because someone claims something doesn't mean that it is true. I also want to just mention, folks, I have a very short leash, I should say. No patience for people that put out misinformation. And I dealt with this over the weekend. There was a story, someone posted on Facebook that they were walking home and a non-English speaking Spanish man approached this individual, as a woman, with a knife in Newport. And apparently, this is happening more frequently. A lot of illegals that are working in Newport are then, let's just say this to put it mildly, in certain other countries, they have a completely different mindset and thought process when it comes to females, women, how they can be treated. Well, anyhow, so the person's trying to get my attention and to say, this is happening. Okay, you have my attention. I'll look into this. But then they have to take it a step further. You got to do something. All right, let me, I know some Newport police. Let me contact them. And then this. Young women are being kidnapped out of Newport by the MS-13 gang. Not timeout. If that were true, wouldn't we have known about that? Don't you think the police would have a press conference? Well, that's what I was told. Well, if you spread false information, there's no difference whether you believe it or not. So, okay, someone was accosted by someone non-English speaking with a knife in Newport. It's terrible. Police need to be alerted, and other people need to be alerted. When you go to the next level and saying all these women are being kidnapped out of Newport, that's not. Kidnapping is a federal crime. If someone were kidnapped, the Newport police would have a press conference on it. We would know about it. It would make news. Well, that's what I was told. Well, you were told wrong information, for crying out loud. And there's a tendency on that. I'll tell you, someone that I'm rooting for right now to go down is this. Well, it's a whole nother thing. But Alex Jones is really in trouble right now. These families are not letting him off the mat. And I'll say it, the behavior of him, Alex Jones, and his associates towards those Sandy Hook families is just appalling. Absolutely appalling, the way they're treating those people. They engaged them. They brought it upon themselves, so no sympathy. All right, I do want to touch on, because there is a major story that's happening right now. And folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show, remember, it's brought to you by Propane Plus. If you use propane, contact Propane Plus today, 401-885-4209 in Rhode Island. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359, heating and cooling. It's Propane Plus. 3 generations. They're available 24/7 for service and delivery. They offer online billing. Schedule your service delivery at the click of a button. It's Propane Plus. You can depend on Propane Plus, folks. They have a very user-friendly website, residential, commercial. You just type in your zip code, go to their website, propaneplus.com. They are always there for you. Folks, as always, as I mentioned, go to the website. Please visit, the website, depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cowesett Inn. 226 Coesit Avenue in West Warwick. Delicious food, lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. I love it there. All right, I do want to touch on, because this is major. So wherever you are right now at 12:20, I get that there are people that are on vacation this week. I get that there are people that don't like House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. But I don't do a ostrich head in the sand type of story. She's going. China military warning. Taiwan readies for conflict. Right now, I'm about to say something that you're not supposed to say. If you're a cult member, cover your ears. You're not supposed to say what I'm about to say. And that is, I'll tell you, the fact that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi if she is showing me a lot. And Pelosi is expected to visit Taiwan. Folks, I'm going to remind people, we're still, regardless of what happened and who's in the White, we're still the United States of blanket America. U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to visit Taiwan, part of her tour of Asia, despite warnings from the Biden administration, worried about China's response to a high-profile visit. The first stop for U.S. House Speaker in 25 years, is not currently on her itinerary. It comes at a time our relations with them are at a low point. She is expected to stay in Taiwan overnight. It's unclear when she will land there. U.S. officials added Defense Department officials are working around the clock, monitoring any Chinese movements in the region, securing a plan to keep her safe. So during a regular foreign ministry briefing today, China warned against what they call the egregious political impact of her planned visit to the self-governing island that China claims as part of its territory, and reiterated they won't sit by idly if Beijing feels that they're being threatened. We would like to tell the U.S. once again, China's standing by. We will never sit idly by. I love the fact that she may go there. I do. And I know you're not supposed to say that. Right now, there are cult members listening. You're not supposed to say anything positive about Pelosi. You're breaking the rules. What's the matter? Didn't you read? You're not supposed to say anything positive about her. You're supposed to, where's Hunter? You're supposed to talk about the laptop. You're supposed to talk about Hunter. You're supposed to blah, blah, blah. Not a matter of that. Where do they get off? She is not young. And if she also recognizes her days as speaker are basically coming to an end, right? It's right after the midterms. Kevin McCarthy, the Republicans are going to take the House, and Kevin McCarthy will, in fact, become the speaker. China warns its military will not sit idly by if Pelosi visits Taiwan. Hey, China, guess what? You don't tell us where we visit. So you have different groups. First of all, you have the anti-Pelosi cult members, and I get that. I'm not a fan of hers. Much like those that say, I'm not voting for Alan. Well, Alan Fung, he's a rhino. I'm not voting for Fung. Do you want Pelosi to be the speaker? Because Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, is talking about coming in to do a fundraiser for Alan Fung. That's how strong they feel about the race, and that's how much they want to take about power. And Justin Katz, who we spoke to last hour, makes a very strong point. It's about having some representation with the ruling party in Washington. Right now, we have none. I believe that CD2 race, that unless something changes, is going to be between Alan Fung and Seth Magaziner. People are going to say, it would be nice to have some say with the people that are in charge. And the people that are going to be in charge they are the Republican Party. They will be in charge. They only need to flip 5 seats. They may flip 25. So I'm not a fan of Pelosi. I'm definitely not a fan of not voting for Fung and keeping her in power, by the way. Some of these people, he's a rhino. You know, as Steve Fry said, I'd rather have someone I agree with half of the time than someone I never agree with. And that's what you have with Langevin. That's what you have with Cicilline. And that's what you would have but with any Democrat that goes to Washington from Congressional District 2. But that said, if she's reached a point, I think she's either 80 or 81. And I know you get the people that say, you know, they couch different things. They don't want to say that they support her. They don't want to do that. So instead, they say, you know, I just don't think it's like the people that, you know, we need to focus on America. It's like the Trump people that were saying, forget about Ukraine. We should be helping the homeless in this country. When have you ever heard a Republican or any Trump supporter say that? The answer is never. How old is she? She is 80. She's older than Biden. Let's see. Nancy Pelosi. Born in 1940. Okay. 82 years old. Wow. I'll tell you, she is. I'll say Nancy Pelosi in age. I want to verify that. I believe that she is. Yeah, she's 82. All right. Juan can still do math. She seems much, much better, though, than Biden. That's for sure. But maybe she feels, listen, I'm 82, and if something's going to happen to me, then I'm going to stand up to them. And if that is her thinking, then there's part of that I can respect and admire. But you have the people. I just don't think. Hey, listen, we have two countries right now. Listen to me. At 12:20, we have two countries that are being very aggressive in nature. One is Russia, one is China. You can't ignore them. Taiwan is an independent nation. If she wants to visit there, she has every blanking right to go there. So stop the cowardliness. You're not supposed to say, I didn't say I'm saying anything positive about her, but she right now is the Speaker of the House. And I think after this term, she's out of there. And and then if she feels that she wants to visit there, and if the people of Taiwan want her to go, then 100% I say that she should go. But make no mistake, this is, listen, I don't want to see us go to war with China either. But this is, to me, the ultimate, you know, the old expression, pay me now or pay me later, right? If you ignore when Russia and China, if they make certain moves, they're testing us and they want to see what we want to do. And despite, I get that it's very in fashion right now, totally. You're supposed to say, you know, I get email from some of you. Anything you say, it's supposed to be negative about, you know, the administration in the country right now because Biden is the president. But I just don't fall into that. And, you know, you have to step back and look at really everything that's happening right now. And she is, for a few more months, she is the Speaker of the House. She is the House Speaker, third in line. How about Biden still testing positive, by the way? Still testing positive for COVID. I agree with many of you that say that it's just a matter they kind of want to walk. All right, this is new. Pelosi is scheduled to arrive in Taiwan this week. Okay. Official purposes remain unconfirmed. U.S. officials now believe China's threats are an intimidation tactic. Good. She should go. She absolutely should go. Make them look bad. Make them stand down. I can't stand. We can't. We can't, folks. And this is one of the problems with Biden and Obama. And if you do line in the sand, you have to follow through with it. You have to follow through with it. If you know, point out or say you're going to do the following, then you have to do it. You got to do it. You can't And it is. China is posting like war videos. She is scheduled to arrive tomorrow night, Taiwan. Good, good. Let them back down. I think it's positive. I think it is. I like. It does sound. They're. China and Russia. It's a lot of talk. Lot of talk. Let's see if they're really willing to step up and do something about it. So I want to see. I have some audio on this, I believe. This is let's see, John Kirby talking about the trip to Asia. Here we go.
Asia trip.
Here we go.
We've just learned from Taiwanese and U.S. sources that Speaker Pelosi is indeed going to visit Taiwan here in the coming days as part of her Asia trip. Has the White House talked to her about this directly? And has the White House heard of any specific threats from China when it comes to this visit?
A lot of noise.
Well, the Speaker will talk to her travel. We'll let her and her staff speak to this trip that she's on. We absolutely have, before she left, as you know, communicated with her and her team about the context, geopolitical context, the facts, our analysis of what was going on in the region at every stop on this trip, as we always do. I'm not going to talk about security requirements, but clearly we want to make sure that when she travels overseas, she can do so safely and securely, and we're going to make sure of that. There's no reason for the Chinese rhetoric. There's no reason for any actions to be taken. It is not uncommon for congressional leaders to travel to Taiwan. It is very much in keeping with our policy.
She's got to go, and he's exactly right. Folks, we can't back down on something like this. So the fact that she is going to go, I think she's going to begin this Asian trip. She's been invited to go to Taiwan, and then she should. Let me hear. This is Brian Kilmeade this morning. China continues to make threats over the visit. I want to hear this.
Institute, your reaction to the hesitation now, possibly from the speaker about going.
Well, there really shouldn't be hesitation, Brian. The reality is that our relationship with Taiwan, the relationship between the United States and Taiwan, is one that's been forged over many years. Taiwan is an example of democracy. It's an example of freedom in the face of challenges from the Chinese Communist Party. You got to remember, Taiwan sits just about at the most narrow point of that Taiwan Strait, about 80 miles from the Chinese Communist Party. And so the reality is Nancy Pelosi should be standing with Taiwan. We should make absolutely clear that this relationship is important, and that's why it's important that she visit Taiwan and not try to pass this off. Remember, she had planned on going. We knew about this several weeks ago. And then the minute that the folks in mainland China started to express concerns about it, she pulled back. And so really, we should not be cowering in the face of this challenge.
But Lonnie, the thing is, what's so strange about this, the Pentagon...
hold on. I don't think it's done. Here we go.
Administration are not on board. The Pentagon says, the president said the Pentagon doesn't advise for it. But the New York Times says today, President Biden's aide says the president has decided against asking Pelosi to directly cancel her trip. So the president's against it, not going to say don't go. But if she does go, they promise direct action. Listen to what this Chinese official said overnight. China has repeatedly made clear to the U.S. its serious concern over Pelosi's planned visit to Taiwan and its firm opposition to the visit. If the U.S. challenges China's red line, it will be met with resolute countermeasures. The U.S. must bear all consequences. What are the consequences?
That's ridiculous. Look, this is just a lot of heat, but not a lot of fury, if one is being honest. This is just an example of the behavior we get from the Chinese Communist Party. They make threats, they make assertions, but we as a country need to be clear and resolute in where we stand. And I think that's why it's absolutely important that we not dither, that we not have any kind of obfuscation or confusion here. We need to stand with Taiwan. And it's important for the speaker to visit because A, she said she was going to, and B, because it sends a very, very important signal.
Absolutely, Lonnie. Best of luck in your race.
I completely agree with that. And this is where, again, folks, good afternoon. It's Monday. It is August 1st. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's 12:34 on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Absolutely, that she has to go. I mean, I don't know if now she definitely has to go, right? Now she definitely has to go. We can't have the opposite. Now, I want to just touch on this stadium situation, the soccer stadium in Pawtucket, that we're not going to let that go either. I mean, it's wrong. It should not be happening. This portion of the program, though, folks, is brought to you by AtMed Urgent Care. Now, remember, when you have an emergency, instead of going to the emergency room, go to AtMed Urgent Care, 2 locations, 1524 Atwood Avenue in Johnston, and also 5750 Post Road, East Greenwich. AtMed Urgent Care facility, providing comprehensive outpatient healthcare, individuals and families. They specialize in ambulatory medicine, diagnostic treatment center services, cost-efficient healthcare alternative to hospital-based emergencies. AtMed Urgent Care, walk-in routine urgent care, minor surgical, orthopedic and trauma, physical exams. And remember, COVID is still out there. There's a strain of COVID out there. Someone I know died just 3 weeks ago from COVID. They offer the mononuclear antibody infusions. AtMed Urgent Care. Pop in and see them. 1524 Atwood Avenue in Johnston and 5750 Post Road, East Greenwich, and online atmedurgentcare.net. This situation with the soccer stadium, that Governor McKee, there's so many things wrong with it, and I enjoyed talking to Justin Katz about it this morning. What I wanted to say was yesterday, there was a lot of activity about this, and someone that was talking out quite a bit about it is this guy, Mike McNally, and he sits on the Commerce Board, and he said some pretty interesting things that he was posting, that this was not the way they normally go about things. The fact that there's a process that they follow. But this soccer stadium, and Channel 12, by the way, has totally dug in on this. 60 million, that there's like less than 20 home games. It's absolutely ridiculous why they're putting this out. You have a small business owner. He put, people worry about crossing powerful people. The fact that Governor McKee, I think Justin is right. Governor McKee, who was not elected, by the way, he's got the tie-breaking vote, and he still votes on it. There was this document provided, but they were told it was confidential. I know I'm talking a little bit in shorthand, but he was on, let me jump in on this thread that they were saying Commerce hired someone to do the analysis, showed the investment was very poor one for the state. 162 low-paying jobs for the $60 million investment, 30-year, $19 million. Has the board been told why the documents being kept secret, reporters can't obtain it? Was a question. No idea why it's confidential, but the email was very unusual. Listen to this. It included a warning and even linked to Rhode Island ethics. I've been on the board. This is Mike McNally. I've been on the board for 7 years. Never seen a confidential warning like that. So what is that, folks? That their warning. If you leak the information from this, that you're violating ethics. Was the email from Commerce staff? No, Commerce outside legal, which is even more interesting. So, so you have a document that talks about the investment, and those involved with the stadium provide it to the people, but then put out a warning that that the document's being kept secret and reporters can't obtain it. This just reemphasizes the whole reason why this was done was just, as Justin had said and we've said, is for the unions. Taxpayers will pay $60 million to net, about $47 million for the new minor league soccer stadium in Pawtucket. Taxpayers would have paid $44 million to net $38 million for the new Paw Sox stadium. Think of that. So it's a worse investment. And the governor only votes in the event of a tide. This, Mike McNally put $60 million state subsidy, and he only supports the stadium. A stadium that create very few jobs. The rest of the development, which is important, is in limbo. They don't know how much it'll cost. Very likely never to happen. So, first of all, it's also a yet to be named minor league soccer team. That none of this. See, here's the thing. Of course, it doesn't make sense. The reason why it doesn't make sense is because it's not about a new soccer stadium. It's about a no-bid $150 million construction project for the unions. So Gary Sass put out, Commerce did its due diligence and still decide to make the investment. And Mike McNally said, not all diligence is done. All projects go through the board's investment committee. They make the recommendations. There was no investment meeting for this deal. Only time that has ever happened. All three investment committee board members opposed the project. See, McKee slammed this through because he was told to slam it through. $60 million state subsidy, the only supports a stadium that will create very few jobs. Rhode Island Commerce board members don't appear immediately sold on reworked Tidewater financing deal. Board member Michael McNally calls it cowardice to put $50 million in public financing into a deal that state consultant described as slightly aggressive but achievable. He said, I said reckless, not cowardice. I mean, who is this? They start going after this Helena Folks for donating to Mitch McConnell. Oh, okay. So because she donated some money to Mitch McConnell, suddenly now she has no say in anything. Hey, that's interesting. Saw Helena Folks sign for the first time. Private street. Helena Bonanno Folks, blue sign, Democrat governor. It's not bad. Her picture's on it. I don't know if that's necessary. She made a mistake 8 years ago by donating $500 to McConnell's campaign. Was that really a mistake? I like the people that support Matt Brown. Who is this? All right, folks. Good afternoon at 12:43. You're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. Again, I want to reiterate that this soccer stadium in Pawtucket, I don't think Ashley Kalis is actually making enough noise about it. I think if this went on the ballot, it would be defeated. It was a sleazy deal. McKee knew he had a short window to ram this thing through. And if they didn't do it right then at that moment, then there'd be pressure on others that were not voting, or those voting in favor of it to vote against it. And that's why they wanted to ram it right through. So this is interesting. Photo of Trump, President Trump, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I also see Don Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle laughing it up at a live tournament. And that photo was taken off. Now, the families in New York are really against this Saudi league because of the hijackers. There's an old adage, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Judging by the visceral reaction, the photo of Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, proverb may prove true. Fox News host joined Trump at his Bedminster, New Jersey golf course as he hosted the LIV Golf Tournament over the weekend. Despite the controversy and less than spectacular numbers, they still carried the day as Carlson and Greene laughed as chants of "Let's Go Brandon" broke out. The Daily Mail reported the chumminess between Trump, Carlson, Greene while the tournament unfolded, and the article included a photo of the three having a happy time together. The photo spread through Twitter on Monday since Trump, Carlson, and Greene are all deep, polarizing figures and attended a controversial event. And then people are doing captions of what they were saying. Caption this photo. Go ahead, get creative. I don't know. I don't like that league, by the way. I don't like the league. I do not. I'm going to disagree with the three of them on that. I don't like this, that everyone's throwing everything overboard for the money, not for the Saudis, the kingdom. But the three of them are, that is rocketing. But folks, just again at 12:46, good afternoon. Now, it's John DePietro. You're listening to the John DePietro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I want you to, it's interesting, looking at the calendar. Today is Monday, August 1st. So next week is Monday, August 8th, then Monday, August 15th, then Monday, August 22nd. So 1, 2, in 3 weeks, that Wednesday, the 24th, early voting starts for the primary, which is Tuesday, September 13th. For those, we have some new people, others, there's this interesting narrative going on, interesting to me anyway, in the media, that some local media, who, by the way, I do admire, but they seem perplexed, if you will, surprised. I think perplexed, puzzled is also a good. They don't seem to understand why Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea is running, as you would describe, almost as like a stealth campaign. Matt Brown's, by the way, doing the same thing. So there's this, I'd call it a surprise, quizzical. You know, what is it? Why is she? By the way, next hour we are going to play more sound from that, the debate for the Democrats running lieutenant governor. But there is this kind of, that's odd. Why is it that Secretary of State Nellie Gorbea, they're not focusing on Matt Brown as much, but they talk about she doesn't have press conferences. She's not she's certainly not generating a lot of free media. She's not making big announcements. She's really flying under the radar. And, you know, Helena Foulkes had the big press conference last week. She got the endorsement, as we said, from Mayor Lorzer and also from Patrick Kennedy. But there's this a little bit, you know, you have Dan McKee, Governor McKee's getting these big endorsements and kind of high profile. And in Ted Nesi writes, Nellie Gorbea had a quieter week, announcing no public campaign events, but issued a press release, 19-page plan to combat climate change. They're kind of wondering, you know, gee, Nellie Gorbea she's not doing a lot of press releases. She's not doing, you don't see billboards up. I do see some of her signs, by the way. I do see some of her signs. But I want to also Ian Donis does he does a kind of like they do like a week in review type of thing they post on Friday, and they're both good, and I read both of them, both Ted Nisi and Ian Donis. He writes, Helen Bonanno folks chalked up a noteworthy endorsement, got the backing of Providence Mayor Jorge Elijah. Boom, boom, boom. He also got it, by the way, over Nelly Gorbea, which a lot of people kind of saw them kind of tied at the hip a little bit. But let me just see if he makes any mention. The race. Nelly Gorbea released her climate plan, got an endorsement from Clean Water Action. Governor McKee keeps rolling up the union endorsements. Bonanno folks got the nod from Middletown Democrats. Ashley Kalis, another ad focused on McKee. Blah, blah, blah. All right. So, but my point is, folks, there's definitely some, we're not seeing a lot of Nelly Gorbea. And I also want to note that Channel 12 has released, there will be a debate for governor. They're the first ones that I'm seeing that are announcing a Democrat primary debate. Where did I see this? And, okay. Mark your calendars. This Friday is the Providence mayoral. That's wait a minute. General Treasurer is next Friday. Providence mayoral, August 23rd. Second congressional is August 30th, and the candidates for governor on September 6th. Here's the point I want to make, folks, and that is the reason why is because, and people still don't get it. Now, right now it's 12:51. It's Monday, and if you're watching or listening, I'm telling you right now, at least 9 out of 10 people don't fully understand how the game has changed. They changed the rules. People don't get it. And just to reiterate, in 22 years ago, it was 65-35. 65% of the votes were cast before the polls opened. I want to repeat, 65% of the votes were cast either drop box or mail ballots after, and only 35% votes were cast that day. I am telling you, now they've moved up. Early voting starts August 24th, and my prediction is it's going to go 80-20. Maybe 75-25 or 80-20, meaning that on election day, primary day, September 13th, 80% of the votes will already be cast. Therefore, thereby, why is Nelly Gorbea, Secretary of State, running that you could describe almost a stealth campaign? Why is she so under the radar? Why is it? Because they have fundamentally changed the way our elections are done. And our elections are done, as I've described, it's like a scavenger hunt. You're collecting votes. You're collecting ballots. They don't leave it up to day of voting. On the day of, think of this, they'll know on election day when Nelly Gorbea wakes up on Tuesday, September 13th, she will know what the score is. She will know how many votes she needs. First of all, they already know how many votes they need to win. All the camps have that idea. She will know how many votes she needs to get to push over the finish line. She'll already know how many votes have already come in. It's wrong. It shouldn't be done that way. That's what the drop boxes are for. This is not democracy. But that's why why do ads? Why have issues? You don't need anything. If your entire campaign becomes about collecting votes, it doesn't even matter about lawn signs. That stuff doesn't hurt. But it's all about Providence, Pawtucket, Central Falls, collecting ballots primarily. And Governor McKee's trying to get East Providence in the mix. But it's no longer about election day. And watch the people that don't get it. And here's a good question. One, how can you tell the people that don't, know the drill? It's because they still talk about voter ID. They still think on election day, we should have people at the polls. It's already decided. As I've said in the past, there are people that know the score and people that don't know the score, right? A good example to me is, I don't know if it still goes on. I haven't been there in a while. Years ago, Twin Oaks in Cranston, very popular restaurant. People would talk about waiting 2 hours for a table, 2.5 hours for a table. If you were going in sometimes on Sunday night, people would be up yelling at the maitre d', we've been here waiting for 2.5 hours. Other people would walk through the main part and they would do, or when they'd see the maitre d', shake his hand, there's money inside there, or they'd walk through into the bar area, see their waiter, and the waiter would say, all right, I have a table coming for you, 10 minutes. The people waiting 2 hours, 2.5 hours, the best way to describe it is they didn't know the score. They didn't know how the game was played. I've told the story. I knew someone that they used to take friends there, and they'd go there on a Saturday night, and they would go at 5:30 or 5 o'clock, make a reservation, put their name in, go home, have their friends meet them at their home, have a drink, have an appetizer, leave around 7 o'clock, get there, right? And then they were only waiting like 20 minutes. In reality, it was a 2 hour and 20-minute wait. Then they started getting the same waiter who was like, what are you talking about? Just let me know when you're coming in and I'll have you covered. Then they learned the score. You tip 25%, 20%, whatever it is. And then you're not waiting 2 hours and 20 minutes or 2.5 hours or 2 hours. So the problem with voting right now is most people don't know. Some of the people running don't know it. But you watch. It all makes sense. Folks, as I've said, after this will be the last time that people will say, gee, maybe the person running the election shouldn't be part of the election. There's two candidacies to watch right now. One is the mayor of Providence, Gonzalo Cuervo. He does have a presence, don't get me wrong. He was Nelly's chief of staff. He's got the voting list in Providence. He knows exactly where to go. And his people know exactly what ballots that can be filled out. And they're registering voters left and right. But I remember in 2015, Nelly Gorbea had a function at the Rhode Island State House for this organization, Dominican organization. And they gave them a certificate and gave them some award. They registered 25,000 new voters. 25,000 new voters. That is mind-blowing. New voters. Try to go to Cumberland, see how many new voters you can get. Go to Lincoln, Smithfield, Northfield, see how many new voters you can get. So Nelly was laying the pathwork for this, groundwork, back that long ago. And it all leads up to this election. And McKee took the bait and allowed her to put through all this early voting. And now you can register online and you don't even have to go in. And watch, her and her chief of staff, they have this planned that they're gonna work all the early voting in leading up to the primary. Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. High quality, fair pricing, exceptional service. If you've been thinking of getting your driveway paved, call J. Perry Paving today for a free quote. Any project, 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. J. Perry Paving. Free estimate, any project. Look for them on Facebook, whether it's a brand new paving project or just a cracked driveway. Licensed and insured contracting company. It's J. Perry Paving. Call them today for a free quote. 401-732-1730. 401-732-1730. Letter J. J. Perry Paving. Well, folks, good afternoon. It's John DePetro. It's Juan on this Monday. at 12:59. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Again, watch for and listen for the news about Pelosi and the trip to Taiwan. Next hour is radio only. You can be part of it. AM 1380, 99.9 FM. The Power Hour is next. You can listen at the website. We're back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.